Question 6 of our June paper 2 this year was, as per usual, our graphs question, our trig graphs question. And it started off with a simultaneous equation type question. Okay, so this was your second simultaneous equation, but you had to answer it within a specific interval. So if you start off, you see, okay, it's a sin and a cos. The one has 3x, the other one is x minus 30. Okay. So these are not the same angles, so you can't divide by cos to get tan. That technique is specifically for when you have a sin and a cos with the same angle. These angles differ, so you have to work with your co-functions. So the first thing you're going to do is find out which angle is going to be complementary to this one. So you say 90 minus the angle you already had. So that would be 90 minus x plus 30. In other words, you are working with 120 degrees minus x. So then you have cos 3x is equal to cos 120 minus x. Okay, so you change it to its co-function with the angle that is complementary. You can use one of these as your reference angle. Let's say we're going to use reference angle to be 120 minus x. Okay, cos is positive, and cos is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. So 3x is equal to the reference angle plus 360, and in quadrant 4 it will also be 3x equal to 360 minus your reference angle plus 360. Reference angle was 120 minus x. Okay, remember your brackets. And then you have to solve each equation. So when you take the minus x over, you add x. So you have 4x equal to this. And then you just have to go divide every term by 4. And then here, similarly, you multiply out. So 360 minus 120 gives you 240. And then a minus x is a plus x. You're going to go subtract this x, so you'll have 2x. Divide everything by 2 in every term. And then now you have your two general solutions, but they want in a specific interval. Then when you go play around and substitute various values to find which ones are in the interval, you'll get x is 30, x is negative 60, and x is 120. Okay, then we have to graph. Okay, they didn't give you graph paper in this case, so you had to draw one for yourself. Okay, so I drew g of x first. It's a bit easier to do when you're not doing it on a graphing tablet or whatever this thing is called. You try your best. Please try and not make it as wobbly as mine was here. Okay, and it is important that you show all your intercepts with your axis as well as your turning points. And then when you draw your second graph, you need to show where the intercept, and we already found here it's 30, negative 60, and 120. It's not very important to add your coordinates. Your coordinates is more important if we can't clearly see on your graph. So we can clearly see here 60, negative 1 is this turning point. But if we can't tell that, if your things are not clear, then you have to add your coordinates. Though, I mean, it's always good form to have your coordinates. And then they're asking you to use your graph to answer the question. And they're asking you for which values of x is when you multiply the two graphs, you get a negative less than 0. So we know that would be where the one is positive and the other one is negative, or where f is positive and g is negative. Okay, that's how you get a negative when you multiply. So in other words, it's where one is above and one is below the x-axis. So here we see, okay, both are below up until here. Then one is positive and one is negative up until there. So that's our first interval between negative 30 and 30. Okay, and they didn't use the and equal sign, so you don't use it. Then again, from here, one is positive and one is negative. Remember, at that specific point, it's 0, and that's not included in what they gave you here. Okay, one is positive, and this one is positive for the rest of it. The red one is negative, negative, negative up until here. So that's your next interval from 30 to 90. And then both positive here. One is positive, one is negative, and then up until the end. And then you are done.